Welcome to session 8 of our series, The Magnificent Grace of God. In this session, we want to talk about being assisted by grace. The true story is told one day of a soldier who was sitting on a bench right outside of the White House when Abraham Lincoln was president. He was crying. A little boy saw the soldier crying and went up to him and said, "Sir, is something wrong?" He said, "Yes, I have a major problem in my life that only the president can solve. But I can't get to him. I can't get past the guards. And I don't know what I'm going to do." The little boy took the soldier by the hand and said, "Come with me." "Come with you where?" He just said, "Just follow me." The little boy took the man's hand and walked right by the guards in the White House, right into the White House, knocked on the office door and said, "Daddy, this soldier needs to see you. He's got a problem only you can fix." You see, the son of the president gained access for somebody who couldn't get to him. God has given you access to him through his son, Jesus Christ. And that access comes by grace. Hebrews chapter 4, verses 14 to 16. "Therefore, since we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our confession. For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, and one who has been tempted in all things as we are, yet without sin. Therefore, let us draw near with confidence to the throne of grace, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need." In my office, I have a special line that my family can get to me on. It's sort of like an emergency line. It's like my red phone, you know. It's one where they can get me. They know when that phone rings that I'll stop whatever I'm doing because there's some emergency that they want to get to me directly on that can't go through the normal channels. God has given you a private line to heaven. And that private line goes to a throne room. Now, who's in a throne room? Last time I checked, it's a king. And in the context of the biblical worldview, the king was the one in charge. He was the final decision maker. A throne rules. So he doesn't say you have access to grace. He says you have access to the throne of grace. Because whatever you're dealing with in times of weakness, in times when you need help, in times when you need assistance, that throne has the last say-so of it because that's where the governance is. It's on the throne. But the question is, how do I get to that throne? That throne is so lofty, so high. God is so transcendent. He says, well, we have a high priest. Just so happens that the high priest is the son of the one who sits on the throne. We have a high priest. A high priest represented God before men and men before God. He's the mediator. He's the in-between connection point. When you pray, it's normal to say, "In Jesus' name." What that should mean is, I'm coming to you based on the access he brings. I'm coming to you based on my connection with him, which is why that connection needs to be strong. He says, and I not only want you to come through Christ, I want you to come boldly through Christ. Because even if I'm not happy with you, I'm real happy with him. And if he brings you, I'm going to listen to you because of him. He says, you come to the throne of grace. Number one, you've got a high priest. The high priest was the chief man in charge in the temple. So you got the number one intermediary between you and God. He says, but you have a high priest who's named Jesus, who is the Son of God. Oh, that's powerful right there. That's a whole sermon right there. Jesus, that's his human name. Son of God is his divine nature. So you've got a high priest who knows what it is to be man and who knows what it is to be God. You've got a high priest who knows what it is to be born out of his mother's womb and who also knows how to create his mother. You've got a high priest who comes into creation and yet, according to Colossians 1, who's responsible for creation. You've got a high priest who can get thirsty and need water and one who can walk on water. You got a high priest who can die but who can get up out the grave. It doesn't get any better than that. His name is Jesus and he's the Son of God. But because he was human, we call it the hypostatic union. Two natures in one person unmixed forever. Fully divine, fully human, Son of God, Son of man. Because you have him, he's been touched by every weakness, yet without sin. In other words, he's felt what you feel. When God wanted to know what it felt like, God knows everything, but he hasn't felt everything he knows. God has all information about every subject. He knows all about sin, but he hasn't felt doing it. He's never committed a sin, so he hasn't had the feeling of it, although he has the knowledge about it. So when God wanted to feel what you feel, he became what you are. He became a person. He became a human being without committing a sin, but going through every weakness and every temptation, every category that you go through. He knows what it is to struggle. He knows what it is to be lonely. He knows what it is to be tempted. The Bible says Satan tempted him. He knows what it is to face pain. He's crying, let this cup pass from me. He knows what that feels like. So when you talk to the Father, who's got all the information, he can get the feeling from the Son. But since the Son and the Father are of the same nature, then they can share it at the most intimate levels. It's one thing for a woman to have a male doctor who's in labor and who's working through the process of her giving birth and says, I understand how you feel. I know you're hurting right now. It's a whole nother thing to have a woman doctor delivering the birth who's also had children. Because when she says, I know how you feel, she knows how you feel. Because she's been there and done that. Okay? The doctor is academic feelings, who's a male. But the female doctor is experiential feeling. Both doctors can solve it, but the female doctor can feel it while she solves it. When you go, ugh, she know what ooh feels like. She's not just hearing what ooh says, okay? Jesus is saying, God can fix it. The Father can fix it, but I can feel it while he's fixing it. The Father can address it, but I can feel it while he's addressing it. And so he says, take advantage of the throne called grace. Because this throne is designed to help you with your weakness. When you're weak, things are too heavy for you. You can't lift them up. Life makes us weak, doesn't it? Different situations, different strokes for different folks. But life can make you weak. I don't know if I'm going to make it today. I don't know if I'm going to make it on this job. I don't know if I'm going to make it in my singlehood. I don't know if I'm going to make it in my marriage. I don't know. I'm weak. He says, okay, let's not just complain about you weak. There is a throne room. And you have a high priest who knows how you feel and who has access to the Father. And his job is to help you. That's assist you by grace, because it's from the throne of grace. You know, when I go through the airport, when you go through the airport, we travel differently than in days gone by. In days gone by, you carried your luggage. It'd be heavy and you'd carry your luggage. But today you roll your luggage, because luggage now comes with wheels on them. If you've got 50 pounds of clothing and a tire in the luggage you carry, and you've got 50 pounds of clothing and a tire in the luggage you wheel, the weight is the same. You're carrying the same weight, but you're not carrying the same weight the same way. Because with those wheels, the burden of the weight is being shared. And so you're able to get through a lot easier, even though the situation hadn't changed, because the weight is being borne by another. Jesus says when the luggage of life gets too heavy, he's got some wheels that you can keep moving with until it gets picked up and put on the conveyor belt and you don't have to carry it anymore. May God bless you as you appeal to his throne of grace.